Aye, shepherd's pie. Greetings from the Philippines. Welcome back to the channel for another interview. Except it's not another interview. It's a very exciting interview today because I am sitting down today for a chat with an internet celebrity. I'm sure you all know him. Paul's Asian Adventure. If you don't know him, and I'm sure you all do, I will put a link to the channel or his channel in the description. But I met Paul about 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to enjoy this interview because he is a very interesting chap. He's lived in a number of countries. I don't know much more about it than that, but buckle up and enjoy the ride because we're going to find out a bit about him. So, Paul, first of all, thank you for being kind enough to sit down with me on my little channel.
You're welcome.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did it start? What was the beginning?
Beginning, I was like you, born in England. So, but when I was 2 years old, we moved to Egypt for 9 years, and then moved back to England, then to Norway, and then from Norway I moved to the US, and then from the US I moved to the Philippines, and then from the Philippines I moved back to the US, and then to Saudi. And one of the reasons I moved around a lot is because of work and education. So that's just the short story of it.
But well, this is going to be a damn quick interview if we don't rewind a little bit. So first of all, why were you moving around so much as a child? I mean,
that was my mum and dad.
Right.
Basically, my mum worked at the Norwegian embassy. My dad worked for something called the Arab League. Right. And so we were in Egypt after England. And then they decided that we needed to move away from Egypt for our education, me and my two brothers. So we went to England, and but my mum and dad didn't work things out.
So what nationality were they then? Because presumably...
My mother is Norwegian. Right. My father is actually Iraqi, but he grew up in Egypt.
Okay.
But he's Canadian also. He's passed away, but he also Canadian because he lived in Canada the last 20 years of his life. So I'm partially Norwegian, partially Arabic, with a British passport and also American passport, if that makes sense.
That's how it is.
Married to an Asian woman. So.
Okay, so you ended up in England for education. Where did you go to school?
I went to Hastings. Okay. And not Hastings. I was born in Hastings. We lived in Cornwall, so I went to. God, I don't remember the name of the school anymore. But we lived in somewhere called Portreath.
Yeah.
And our school was closer to Redruth, but not in Redruth. Can't remember the name of the place. I was 14 years old when I left. So.
How old were you when you moved there?
11.
11. Okay,
so we moved to Norway when I was 14.
Right. What was it? A bit of a culture shock moving to the UK at that age after you'd been away, or?
Yes, it was. I was used to doing stuff the Arabic way, the Arabic culture. All my friends were Arabic. I could speak Arabic fluently, like an Arab.
Really?
Yes.
That's impressive.
Well, no, not if you're 2 years old when you go there and you pick it up, right? And but once I moved to England, the Arabic went away because I never spoke Arabic again. And it took me a while to get used to the British culture, the jokes, the way of doing things there. But then after 3 years, when I got used to it, we moved to Norway. Had to learn Norwegian. So now I speak Norwegian fluently and had to learn the culture there. The first couple of years, I didn't understand any of their jokes. I understood what they were saying, but I didn't understand the jokes because, the jokes is historical, so has something to do with the social interaction. Jokes are very based on where you live,
Ja, jag förstår.
Du förstår, ja. Okay, greit. Du kan lite norsk.
I lived in Sweden for a number of years. It's very similar language.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what was it like? I mean, you said it was very different. Did you have a preference then? Did you like both, or was Norway?
I loved Norway, to be honest. I loved the weather when I lived there. I never experienced snow. So once I experienced snow, I loved skiing, cross-country skiing. I skied almost every day. I just loved, half my family is Norwegian, obviously. So I loved being close to my grandpa and grandma and cousins and uncles and aunts and all that stuff. So it was very nice to live in Norway. It's say Norway is probably one of my favorite countries that I've lived in, and me and my wife have actually talked about going to Norway, but I think now at my age it's a bit too cold. I've gotten used to the heat living in the US and Texas and Louisiana and Oklahoma, and kind of living in the Philippines as well, and Saudi. I don't know if I want to go back to -10, -15 Celsius.
No, I can relate to that entirely.
Yeah.
Did you miss Egypt when you went to England?
Yes, very.
The whole time? You were
Yeah.
happy in Egypt, were you?
I loved it as a kid.
Mm.
I loved the people. I loved the culture. I loved the food. Going to England, don't take this the wrong way, but the food was pretty bland compared to what I was used to. And, you know, then I got used to fish and chips. I'd never had fish and chips and mushy peas. And it kind of grew on me. And, you know, when I left England, I was really sad. You know, it took me a while to get used to Norway, but I loved Norway. Only took a month or two, and don't take this the wrong way again, but I'd forgotten about England. Didn't forget about my friends. I missed my friends a lot, but I love the Norwegian nature and just the way of being in Norway. So, yeah.
And I can relate to that. It's a beautiful country.
Mm.
So where did you go after Norway? I mean, what you at? Did you university there or secondary?
Yeah. I went to school there, and then I went to what they call videregående skole, which is pre-college basically. And then I went to university to get my bachelor's degree in engineering. And after 1 year of not working, there was a downturn in the oil industry just when I graduated. So I went to the US to get my master's degree. So
that's what got you to.
That's what brought me to the US. And then I met my first wife, which was American. And after 7-8 years, that didn't work out. So, yeah. So I stayed in the US basically. Since I was being there for 7-8 years, I said, you know what, I'll just stay here. So, yeah.
Okay. And that was in Texas, did you say, or did you move around?
Started in Oklahoma and then moved to Texas. From Texas, I moved to Louisiana, and then from Louisiana back to Texas. And then I stayed in Texas the rest of the time, yeah.
Were you basically moving where the job took you? Or was
Yes, it's all oil-based. So wherever the job was, I would go. I lived in Dallas, Houston, Odessa. I lived in Bossier City, Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I studied. I also worked. Probably forgotten something, but yeah, those were the main places.
Okay. Very different the States over there, aren't they?
They're different, but they're very friendly. I have to say about Americans, they're very, very friendly and easygoing.
No, I mean the different states. I've always thought it's like each state's like a different country.
Oh no,
so different when you travel around there. You know?
Yeah, they're different, but much of the same though. You know, you'll say, like for example, Denny's, which is like a breakfast place. You'll see Denny's everywhere. You'll see Subways everywhere. You'll see like they have all these chains that are everywhere. So it's different, but the same kind of thing. Yeah.
Same, but different. As I say
exactly. Yeah.
So was it easy to get work over? Did they have a shortage? I mean, because obviously you're not an American citizen. I mean, is it because you went to university there, you could walk straight in a job, or was there a shortage in your field? I mean, how easy was it to get a work permit? That's what I'm getting at.
I had a job before I had a work permit, basically.
Right.
So I was just waiting for the work permit. After the marriage, we had to apply for certain things and all that. So.
Oh, of course, because you were married, so that probably made it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you enjoy the work?
I love working.
Mm.
That's one thing. Living retired, I actually miss working.
Really?
I've actually thought about coming back to work again. I retired in 2018. No, 2019 I retired. Went back to work in 2022 and retired again in 2024.
What age were you the first time you retired?
51.
51?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you retire through choice? Because I remember watching your channel a while back and there was a non-compete.
I had a non-compete. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go to the Philippines. I think the non-compete at that point was about 1 year, 1.5 years left on it before I could go back to work. I could go back to work, but I couldn't work in my area, in my specialty. So I'd have to work in a different area of the oil field, which I applied for some job and I had an interview, but they only offered me like 60-70% of what I was making. I'm like, nah, you know what? I'd rather take 1.5 years off and then come back to work. And then I came to the Philippines, and after about 6-8 months, I decided, you know what? I kind of enjoying the life here. I was touring, I was going places. I just really enjoyed living here. And I decided, you know what? I'm just going to retire. I have enough money. I calculated and did all the calculations based on historic data on my stocks and everything. I'm like, I've got more than enough money and my pension coming in when I'm 62. I'm going to be okay. Live the single life the rest of my life,
Yeah.
you know. But I don't know. Then the pandemic hit, right? And then I realized I really miss work. And so after the pandemic, no, it was during the pandemic, I started applying for work. I started talking to people I know in Texas, in Louisiana, in Oklahoma. And before I knew it, I had an interview, and they'd heard about me through, other people that had worked with me, and they were very interested in hiring me. So 3 weeks later, after the interview, I was on my way to the US.
So just out of interest, because obviously you started off in Egypt, you've got ties there, you've got ties in the UK, or you went to school there.
I don't have ties in Egypt anymore now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my question was, why the Philippines? Why did you not go back to Norway for a couple of years when you took time off for the UK or Egypt? Or
Well,
what was the Philippines? What brought you to the Philippines? That's what I'm getting at.
Okay, this is the funny part. After my divorce in 2006, 2007, wait, my first divorce, I think. God, I can't remember now. Oh, it was 2006, right, 2006. And, I'd changed jobs. I was going through this training program, and one day I was back in the hotel. I thought, where's a place, because I wanted to start a family, to be honest. Where's a place I can meet like a traditional woman? I hope American women don't get this the wrong way, but very few American women that are traditional and will stay with you through thick and thin anymore, So I started looking, and the Philippines kept popping up. So I went to this website, dating website. I can't remember the name of it anymore. Something Rose or Rose something. Anyway, I became a free member, and you can see the people emailing you, but you can't email them back, right? And that first day, I had I swear to you, 50 different emails from gorgeous women. You know what I thought to myself? I thought, this is a scam. This can't be right,
Yeah.
Because, you're used to the women in the West, and they're horrible for the most part. You know this, right? And so...
Notice I didn't agree with him. I've got some female subscribers.
I'll say it as it is, man. But so I became a member. I just signed up for 1 month to see, and I started chatting with these girls, and they were real. I thought they were just like bots or something, but they were real. And before I knew it, I was talking to this one girl. I came to visit her. Things didn't work out with her, but in the end, I met another girl who we hit it off and got married, but in the end, we got divorced. So, but yeah, that's how I found out about the Philippines. And the first time I was here was, actually, no, correction. I got divorced in 2005, I guess, because I was here end of 2006. That's correct. So I was here at the end of 2006, and I'd met this girl, and I came here and I just fell in love with the country. We went to in Og, it was called. That's where she lived. Then after that, we went to an island called Camigan Island.
Yeah, when I agree.
And I just love that island. I just wow, this nature is beautiful. The water is clean. At the time, I think I paid 50 pesos for a whole rotisserie chicken. I was like, man. And then I started laying these plans. Okay, within 10 years, I'm going to retire and live here. That was my plan. And like I said, later I met this girl, brought her to the US, and 6-7 years later, we were divorced. And after that divorce, I really started putting my plan together, really, really saving. I mean, I had 3,000 square foot home. I worked as an engineer, and I made good money. I didn't need to rent out the rooms, but I rented out my rooms just to make more money so I could save more money so I could retire.
Yeah.
But my plan was actually to retire in 2019, 2020, but then I had that non-compete happen that you talked about. So I left November 2018. I think I stopped working June 2018 or something. And then I left November 2018. And then the rest is history. Then I came over here, stayed, went back to work and so on.
Well, I don't mean to pry into your, you don't have to answer this. I'm not going to ask why the marriage didn't work out, whatever. What I am going to ask is, from the day I got here, I have heard a lot of people say in the comments for advice from other expats, never take your Filipina back to your home country. Would you concur with that advice? Because you did that. I mean, is it the fact that you think you took her to the States? Or I don't mean to pry. Don't answer if you don't want to.
No, it's fine. I would say for 80 to 90% of Filipinos, yes. When you get to your home country, if you take Philippines, this is what I did wrong. In the beginning, like we were always together and everything worked out. But I've always had this feeling like live and let live. If they want to do something, do something. I want to leave, leave. I don't care, I care, but I don't care because I don't want to be with someone who doesn't want to stay there. But the thing that I did wrong in my marriage is I invited this other girl to come live with us, her friend who was basically on the verge of being homeless, and she was going through a divorce. So putting one girl that's married and a divorced woman that always wants to go out and party together, you know where I'm going?
Yeah,
I didn't really think about that. I was like, she wants to be with me, we have a good life, she's not going to do anything wrong. I can't say that she did something wrong, but I think something in her brain started going through like, oh, I like the single life maybe, I want something different maybe. So in the end, it didn't work out. So I think if you're going to bring somebody to the West or to a country where the culture is different than here, where, marriage is looked upon as temporary in a way, I think you have to be in a situation where you don't put these women in a situation where they start thinking about, maybe I should go do something else, or, like this one guy I knew in Houston was married to a girl. They have like a 30, 40 age gap relationship, and 15 years later, they're still together because they're always together, So I think that's the important part. If you put a person in a situation where they can start changing, where the culture changes them, they're going to eventually change because of the pressure from other people. And that's the situation you have to make sure you don't get into.
Certainly from my experience, because I've got a couple of friends, or several friends over here, who had their wives back in the UK, and they've been known like 20, 30 years. I mean, they've got 40 years marriages, and they're solid.
Yeah.
And it was never a problem. But they're quite close in age.
Yeah.
I often wonder if there'd been a big age gap, whether the relationships would have lasted. Because you're only talking 3 or 4 years age difference. I think, personally, I guess that makes a big difference.
I think it makes a difference. The bigger the age gap, I mean, think about it. If you're a 25-year-old girl with a 75-year-old guy, and you're going out partying every night, and these young, hot-looking guys are putting the moves on her, in the end, she's going to give in to temptation. We're all human, right? But if she's with the guy all the time and they're going on trips and doing things together, that situation can never really arise.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And her thought process is about you and not about, oh, look at this guy, look at that guy with the single women around there. That's the situation you have to... If you put a married woman with a lot of single women, 99% of the time it goes to hell. That's my experience and from talking to other people.
Yeah, no, you could well be. I just wanted your opinion. You've been here a lot longer than I have. So it was a clean break, though. No kids or anything like that. It was just,
no kids. Never.
So you were lucky.
I had a stepson, but no, that wasn't luck. That was on purpose.
well played. So what happened next then? So you're back, you've saved up all the money, you've got all your cash together. This time you're definitely retiring, you're not going to go back to work.
This time?
Yeah, that's where we were, wasn't it, in the story?
Back in 2018?
Yeah.
Well, no, in 2018 I planned to go back to work, but I was just going to take off a year and a half, and then go back to work. But then by 2019, I decided I'm going to retire. And then the pandemic hit. And after the pandemic, I decided to go back to work. Yeah. So went back to work. And then after 2.5, 3 years, I decided to retire again. And now sometimes I think about coming back to work. I just like the routine. I like using my brain. I like, having that camaraderie with coworkers and just the projects you go through and the things you do, and just having that feeling that you completed a project. I enjoy that.
Well, yeah, all different.
Yeah, we're all different. Yeah.
No, I know a few people over the same view. I'm a very lazy man, so I find it hard to relate to that. It's good that you do. What was it like here during the pandemic? Where were you?
For the most part, I was actually here
In Dumageddon?
Yeah. And then I spent 6 to 8 months in Lapu, closer to 8 months, I think, before I went back to the US. Yeah.
What was it like?
It was not good.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we're stuck inside all the time. One time I went walking, just to get a bit of exercise. Me and my neighbor and a friend, we went for a walk. We got arrested for walking.
Wow.
Yeah. I have a picture of me in a jumpsuit, and they have this tennis court. We had to spend, 10 hours in this tennis court.
You're joking. Wow.
No, before they sent us home.
Was it 100 peso fine or something at the end of it? Or?
I don't think we paid any fine. I just wanted to waste our time, I guess. I don't know. Gave us a warning. And the worst part of the whole thing was coming back home. They had a van, and we're driving. It's dark by then. I mean, really dark. And this police van is driving. I don't even have lights in the police van. There's this policeman or co-worker or whatever out with a flashlight on the side of the car. And I'm like, this is more dangerous than the freaking COVID, man. Yeah. It's just... I don't know. And then I give you another example. They came up with this, I don't know who came up with this, but his IQ must have been in the 60s. Came up with this idea to put a plastic between the driver and the passenger. So I thought, God, this is an asinine idea. No one's going to take this seriously, right? So me and Mia, we got stopped. At the time we weren't married, but we lived together. And this police lady, she's like, oh, I have to give you a fine because you don't have the plastic in between you. I said, what do I need a plastic with? We live together. She's my girlfriend. Oh, you still have to have plastic. Why? I kiss her every day. If I get COVID, she's going to have COVID. If she gets COVID, I'm going to get COVID no matter what. She said, well, you have to give plastic. It's like, give me the reason why. And she just looked down and said, I don't know. She said, but I have to give you this fine. So she gave me a fine. It was 100 pesos.
About $2.
Yeah, and it's just like, they had all these silly rules, and it's just like, I don't know if they were trying to, up each other and whatever, but it was just, yeah.
I've heard they were sort of trying, but it's strange because you get talking to people. I've heard some people say that if it happened again, they'd go back to America or they wouldn't be here. Other people, I've got some very good friends, that was the best time of their lives. That they were having parties in the compounds every night, and you went to restaurants, they'd close the door so the police didn't know they were in there. Sideways, it was only 1 or 2 bars that could open because it was open air, so it was the busiest, best time.
Yeah.
People loved it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people hated it. I suppose it depends.
I didn't hate it or love it. I mean, something good came out of it because, at the time I lived with, at the time girlfriend, now wife, and that time we spent together, we realized, we're actually a pretty good fit because we never argued. Spending 24/7 with somebody, it gets pretty frustrating for most people, but we had a great time. So watched a lot of movies and stuff like that. Netflix saved us, I think. Yeah.
Well, it's good. You'll learn a lot about each other if you're staying together 24/7 like that.
Yeah, you do.
So how many different places have you lived in the Philippines?
Let's see. Here, Bacolod, and Lapu. Only 3 different places.
And which was your favourite?
I think here.
Dumageddon?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you came back this time, the last time, that's the last time you've come back here, isn't it?
Yeah, from Saudi, yeah.
Was that to Dumageddon?
Yes, it was.
And what brought you to Dumaguete? Is Mia? She's not from Dumaguete, is she?
Yeah, our family's here.
Oh, okay, I didn't realise.
And we'd
that.
lived here before, so we know the area. We knew a lot of people here. We still know a lot of people here. We have good friends here, and it's like, you know what? It's a good place. But things have changed a lot. They really have.
I can tell from your face you think it's the worst.
Yeah. It's just the traffic is increased. Just, I don't want to sound like a downer, but there's like more trash. There's just prices have gone up considerably. So I don't know. As you know, I'm moving to Thailand, so I've decided to just give somewhere else a shot for a couple of years and see how I like it.
So how long have you lived in the Philippines if you pushed it all together? What would be without the gaps?
4 years.
Oh, 4 years?
Yeah.
Okay. And at what point, can you put a finger on the point where you started to think Philippines is not for me, I'm going to move on?
When I came back from Saudi.
Right.
I think, just the quality of life I had in Saudi, just the different types of food I got, going to the supermarket, and then coming here and like seeing the traffic, the pollution. I didn't remember it that way. So I think I remembered it from the pandemic. That was one of the advantages also of the pandemic, right? It was very little traffic, very little traffic, especially, the first part of the pandemic was bad because you had to stay inside all the time, but then they started loosening it up, right? Where you could go places, you could travel, but people weren't allowed into the Philippines. So things were actually not that bad. Things were actually pretty good. I mean, prices were down, hardly any traffic. So it was great that way. So I think my brain remembered it that way. So coming back, the traffic, I've been in an accident, almost accidents 2-3 times. I'm like, don't want to take this chance anymore. I don't know. So after that, I started thinking, you know what, there's other countries, and I'm not single anymore, so I'm not really looking at women. So we went to Malaysia. We loved it there, but the visa process there is somewhat complicated and expensive. And then we went to Thailand to get my reverse vasectomy. And it kind of opened our eyes at the possibilities. Then later we went to Spain to visit Spain as a possibility to retire. And we really liked it there. And we're actually really considering going to Spain. But then we went to Thailand, and I thought to myself, Thailand is really nice. It's kind of, the way I say, it's Western in the standard and Eastern in the prices, meaning the prices there for me is actually cheaper than here, and the quality is higher. And so I decided, you know what, let's give Thailand a year or 2 or 3, and then see how we like it, and then maybe go to Europe after that. So.
And how many times have you both been there?
To Thailand?
Yeah.
Twice. Yeah.
And again, not prying. Mia's quite happy with that, because I know some Filipinos are very family orientated. They don't want to leave their families. Others don't. I mean, she's excited about it.
Well, the advantage of Thailand compared to Spain is closer, right? And I've told her, her family can come visit. We're getting a passport for her little sister, so she can come visit. We're getting a passport for her dad, so he can come visit. And when the child is of a certain age, Mia can go back. So it's close enough where it's fine,
Very good. And where is it you're going to be settling?
In Wahin.
Wahin.
Yeah.
I've never been there. But
well, you'll have to come visit. You'll have to come visit.
Don't say things like that, mate. I'll turn up on your door.
That's fine, man.
Well, I hope it works out for you. I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
But a very, very interesting story. I've got to ask you this, because obviously, the vasectomy business. You obviously had the vasectomy. So you'd obviously decided you didn't want to have children again. What changed your mind? Because that's quite big.
I'll tell you the story behind a vasectomy. It's kind of funny, right? But after my divorce, or when we were going through a divorce, I can't remember, I met this other girl, also a Filipina. And after some few weeks with fun with her, she called me and she thought she was pregnant. And luckily she wasn't. I don't know, maybe she was and she miscarried. You know how you can miscarry the first few weeks and like that. But I just scared the bejesus out of me, because I had these plans, right? I'm going to go to the Philippines within the next few years and so on. If I'd made a girl in the US pregnant, I'd be stuck there working for the next 20 years. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to get a vasectomy. And I knew you could have a reversal, and I knew it wasn't 100%, but I thought, you know what, if I don't have kids, it's okay. I would like to have kids one day, but if I don't, it's no big deal. So, and then I met Mia, and I really never thought about having kids when I was with her. And even thought, you watch some of my older videos, I told her I'm never getting married. But then things evolved, and I went back to work. And when I moved to Saudi, I said, you know what, Mia is the one for me. So I came to the Philippines, we got married, I brought her to Saudi. And after a while, I thought, you know what, I'd like to have a family. I've never had a family, I've never had my own kids, and I'd like to have my own. So I decided to have a reversal. But I told Mia, you know what, this is a one-shot deal. If this reversal doesn't work, I'm done. Because you can try the reversal several times, but I'm like, I went through the reversal, and it's like somebody kicked me in the balls.
Afterwards.
Several times, yeah. So I thought to myself, never again, man. But 2-3 months after the reversal, she got pregnant.
Wow.
So now she's almost 5 months pregnant. And
congratulations.
We know it's a boy, healthy boy. We know that. We've done all the testing, and I'm so excited.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And how old are you now?
Secret.
Okay.
No, I'm 58. People 58. On the channel now, yeah.
Oh, but that's still a good age. That is a good age.
Yeah.
It's not, that's perfect. I've got to ask you one question as a man, because I'm intrigued by this. I know lots of friends when I was in the Air Force who had a vasectomy. You just go in, you come out the same day. What is it like having it reversed? Is that more complicated?
A lot more complicated.
Right.
Cutting something versus putting it together.
So it's a general anaesthetic on the way on when you have it the other way. Is it still a local or?
It's local.
When you put it back together?
Yeah.
Wow. So you can watch.
No, they have. Oh God, no. I don't want to watch that. That's the mistake I did. I watched a few videos about it before, and I actually told me I changed my mind. And I went in. Even now, when I think about it, my hands are sweaty. So yeah, it's they have the vase on the right and the vase on the left. The one on the right, they did it. 30 minutes, it was done. No pain, nothing. But the one on the left, they had a hard time finding it. When they find it, it was a hard time putting it together. 30 minutes on the one on the right, and they spend what? An hour and a half, almost 2 hours on the one on the left. And that was the problem. The one on the left, if the one on the left had been as easy as the one on the right, it would have been easy peasy. But it was, not something I would do again. Let me put it that way.
Well, no, you might have to go the other way again, though, if you have any more kids.
Oh, we're planning for 2 or 3. So
really? Oh, yeah. Well, great.
Yeah.
You really have done a complete turnaround. I'm happy for you, mate.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very interesting story. I told you it would be an interesting story. He's a very interesting chap. But best of luck in Thailand. Anyone wants to know, I had close to 8 very happy years there, and hopefully you will have the same and longer.
Yeah, I hope so.
But great interview, mate. Thanks for sitting down with us. It's much appreciated. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, it would be fantastic if you did. But whether you do, whether you don't, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe. Be lucky.